Welcome in. We got the college football playoffs starting today, and this is a betting strategy, a way to just pick up money here in the college football playoffs here. And I want to reiterate before we get into it, I do have 4 teams where if they win the national championship, I already win money, okay? And that is Texas, Oregon, Georgia, and Ohio State, okay? So a lot of things I'm doing is because I already win money on those teams, okay? And you can still do this, you just might not make as much, and you might have to do it with a little more risk than I do, but I'll break it down for you here. I have those 4 teams to win if they win the national championship, and you might sit here and think, oh, well, you got a couple holes if Tennessee wins, if Penn State wins. But the team I'm most afraid of is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, okay? So what are we going to do with Notre Dame? Well, if you look at the hypothetical line, they are favored against Georgia, which to me is crazy. But what does that mean for us? What are we going to do? Here's the strategy. FanDuel and a lot of sportsbooks right now have playoff parlays. And what that means is you could bet teams to make the semifinal. You could bet teams to make the final. These are meant to be parlayed. These are sucker bets for people to take them and parlay a bunch and lose. We're going to take these to get positions and value, okay? Now, it's not going to be a lot of money you're going to make, but you're going to be able to pick up money. And let me explain with Notre Dame. We were going to bet Notre Dame to make the semifinals. Plus 158 on FanDuel right now. You could probably find a better number somewhere if you do a little research. We take them to win. We take them plus 158 to make the semifinal. If they beat Indiana, which are 7.5-point favorites, that's the risk right there that you have to take. If they lose to Indiana, we get hurt a little bit. Now, I'm okay with taking that risk because I want Notre Dame to be out. Because then my 4 teams to win the national championship look better. So I want Notre Dame to be out. You might take that risk, but getting a 7-point favorite at plus 158 is great value. You should always take that, right? So we bet them at plus 158 to make the semifinal. Then when they play Georgia, when they're favored, you just bet Georgia on the money line. And no matter what happens in the game, you win money. And the reason why I'm so adamant about this is because I tell people this and they don't want to do it because it's not the big parlay. It's not the big payout. It's not the big cash out, but this is free. And it pisses me off because the only way you're going to make money long term in this business is to do stuff like this. So you pick up a unit here, you pick up a unit there, you pick up a unit here. It helps so much in the long run because now you have more units to play with, especially on your parlays. If that's the thing you want to do, you have to be able to pick up the money like this. Bet Notre Dame to make the semifinal, and then just bet Georgia in the game when they're dogs. You're getting plus money on both sides, and even if Georgia becomes a favorite, they're going to be a small favorite. You could probably still do this bet. Bet Notre Dame to make the semifinal. They should beat Indiana. They probably will beat Indiana. And then you just bet Georgia on the money line, no matter what the dog price is. And you pick up something. This is so adamant. Now, that's the best one I like. That's the most profitable one here I see. Now, I am going to do 2 more I'm going to give you. There is a little more risk to it, but they're bigger numbers. We can maybe get out of it. Texas to make the final. I think we have to bet this, okay? Because if they roll through Clemson, which I think they will, they're going to roll through Arizona State on a neutral. So, plus 205 on FanDuel to make the final. You could probably find a better number somewhere. I'm just going off FanDuel right now. I think we bet that, right? And you think, well, how are we going to hedge this out? I'm also going to bet Oregon, plus 186 to make the final. So I'm going to have those 2 to make the final. And you're like thinking, well, Oregon could lose to Ohio State. They could lose to Tennessee. And yes, you're right. They can lose to that. I'll just bet Ohio State or Tennessee in that game, okay? But ultimately, I think the most likely outcome is Texas-Oregon semifinal because I personally think the 4 teams that are going to be in the Final 4 are going to be the 4 teams we would have gotten in a 14 playoff if we had the normal 14 playoff, which is Texas, which is Oregon, which is Penn State, which is Georgia. I think that's what we're going to get. Texas-Oregon to make the final. I think Texas to make the final is a must because they're going to get to the semifinal. So no matter what you do, you don't have to bet Oregon. Just bet Texas to get to the semifinal and then just bet the other side when they're in the semifinal. Free money, free. Obviously, they have to beat Arizona State. They have to beat Clemson. Come on. They can't beat those 2 teams. You walk away with something. And yes, it might not be a lot. Yes, you have to invest a lot. Yes, you have to take a lot of time to do this, like days-wise, because the tournament is spread out a lot. But when you do it here, you do it there, you do it in this market, you do it in that market, you do it in this market, it adds up. Texas to make the final is the second bet. Definitely, you could also add Oregon. I just like Oregon to get there. If you're not as confident as I am, you don't even have to do Oregon. Third one is I'm doing the same thing with Penn State, Georgia, especially Penn State, because if Penn State rolls through SMU, they're going to roll through Boise State, and they're going to be in the semifinal. And we could do the same thing over again, okay? But I'm also going to bet Georgia to make the final. It's plus 182. I think I got plus 200 when it first opened. I was like, that's way too high when I first saw it. So I think it did come down again. I think some books have like plus 150 for them to make the championship game. FanDuel's got plus 182 right now. So I would still do that. Ultimately, that's the third tier one. That a little more risk to that one because Notre Dame could beat them. Penn State, I guess, could lose to SMU. So that one's a little more risk. I would put that one the third. But the other two, to me, are no-brainers. Everyone should be betting this. Notre Dame to make the semifinal. When they get there, just bet Georgia on the money line. Texas to make the final. When they're in the semifinal, just bet the other team on the money line. That's free. And that's what you should do. That's the betting strategy right there. Ultimately, my name is Joshua. If you like sports betting, you like college football, you like anything sports, I promise this is the channel for you. So click the subscribe button right here. It should be an icon. Watch these videos that YouTube recommends because I have all my breakdowns of the college football playoff games on the channel already. This is probably one, whatever side it's on here. Also, my playlist of all my college football videos are also right here, so click that as well. That has every college football video I've ever made this season so far, including the breakdowns. So go check that out. Ultimately, again, my name is Joshua C. Thank you.